Today we're taking a look at our Pentax 645 to Sony E-mount shift adapter. This is a lens adapter that is designed to adapt a Pentax 645 medium format lens to a Sony E-mount camera and give you full shift functionality. Now this is one of our pro level adapters. It's made of all metal. It's got a really nice professional finish to it, so it'll fit right in with your professional Sony E gear. Here is the front of the adapter. This is where we mount the Pentax 645 medium format lens. And then here's the rear of the adapter. This is where we mount it to our Sony E-mount camera. And as you can see on the inside of the adapter, it is painted a matte black, and that is to reduce reflections or pretty much cut them all together so you don't get any reflections of light bouncing around inside the adapter. And like I said, this is a shift adapter. So not only does it work as a standard adapter to adapt a Pentax 645 lens to your Sony E-mount camera, it also functions as a shift adapter. It allows you to shift your adapted medium format lens. And the way you shift is you press this silver button right up here, press it down, and you can shift 10 millimeters to the right or 10 millimeters to the left for a total of 20 millimeters of shift. Or you can leave it right in the center there. You can follow these little guides here. If you leave it right in the center, it functions just like a standard adapter. Not only can you shift left and right, but there's this little gold button here on the side. And if you press and hold that in, you can actually rotate the shift 360 degrees. So you can place the shift wherever you want it in your shot. And the shift adapter also has an Arca Swiss compatible tripod foot. This tripod foot is essential if you're using a heavier Pentax 645 lens, or if you want to lock it down and shoot a stitched panorama. You lock the tripod down and then you can shift the sensor of the camera back and forth. So it's nice to have that. Now there might be some situations where you don't want this tripod foot, and you can actually remove it. It just has a standard hex key screw in there. So if you want to remove the tripod foot, just get rid of it. For specific setups, it's very easy to do that. Now you might be asking, how exactly do adapters work? How am I able to adapt this medium format lens to this full frame camera? And the answer is pretty simple. It all comes down to focal flange distance. Focal flange distance is the distance that's required between the rear mount of your lens and the space where the sensor or film plane goes. How much space do you have to have between your lens and your sensor for the lens to focus to infinity? Now you'll see with this Sony E-mount mirrorless camera, there's no DSLR mirror in there. So we basically just have the mount and the sensor pretty close behind. So there's hardly any focal flange distance there. It's a very small space between where the lens mounts and where the sensor is. But in the case of this medium format Pentax 645 lens, that space is a lot larger. And this is because these cameras required space for the mirror to flap up and down. So Pentax 645 lenses have a focal flange distance that's about that deep. And because this lens has a much deeper focal flange distance, a much longer one, we have space when we adapt it to our Sony E-mount camera to place this shift adapter. So now not only can we adapt this medium format lens to this mirrorless camera, but we can also have shift functionality built into the adapter. And focal flange distance can be a bit confusing, so if you have any questions about it, comment below. Now, how exactly am I able to turn this Pentax 645 medium format lens into a shift lens on my Sony E-mount camera? It's actually pretty simple. Pentax 645 lenses have a much larger image circle than a full frame Sony E camera. And with this extra image circle real estate, we've got room to shift the camera sensor left, right, up or down, or even diagonally, and not run into any vignetting. Because this medium format lens has a much larger image circle than the full frame sensor, we can turn it into a shift lens with our shift adapter. And this adapter is compatible with all Pentax 645 medium format lenses, which means you can turn any Pentax 645 lens into a shift lens with this adapter. Now this adapter is a fully manual adapter. As you can see on the front, we have no electronic communication pins. Neither do we have any electronic communication pins on the back. And this basically means this adapter will not give you any electronic control of a Pentax 645 lens. So when you have this lens and adapter mounted on your Sony camera, you will have to adjust the aperture of the lens and the focus of the medium format lens manually. You will have no electronic control of the lens, so I'd recommend shooting in full manual mode with your Sony E-mount camera or one of the accepted program modes. Now this is the part of the video where I would show you how to set up your medium format lens so it would function with our adapter. But the nice thing about Pentax 645 lenses is you don't really have to do any of that. They're pretty much ready to go. Just mount it on your adapter and you're ready to shoot. And let's do just that. Let's mount this Pentax 645 lens on our shift adapter. Mounting the lens on the adapter is just like mounting a lens on a camera. You're going to find the red mounting dot on your lens. Then you're going to line that up with the red mounting dot on your adapter. And then you're just going to press the lens into the adapter and then rotate it to lock it to the adapter. There we go. The lens is locked on the adapter. And as you can see, we can adjust the aperture of the lens. So we have full aperture control and it is ready to use. Now, if you wanted to remove this lens off the adapter, pretty simple, just like removing a lens from a camera. You're going to go down here to this silver button. And this is a button. It might look like a lever, but it's a button. You're just going to press and hold this silver button in, then rotate the lens and remove it. And a lot of people ask how much play our adapters have. That's how much jiggle you get between the lens and adapter. And I can show you right here. I'm going to rotate them independently of each other. And there's not much movement at all. There's a very slight bit of movement, but it's locked on there pretty tight. So this adapter does not have much play at all. Next up, we're going to mount the lens and adapter onto our Sony e-camera. And again, it's just like mounting a lens on your camera. You're going to find the red mounting dot on the adapter, which is right here. And you're going to line it up with the white mounting dot on your camera. And then you're just going to press the adapter and camera together and rotate it to lock it to the camera. And there we go. Now we've got this medium format Pentax 645 lens mounted to our Sony e-camera with full shift functionality, which is pretty cool. Now, how much play is between the adapter and camera? Well, we can check that right now, rotating them independently. And you can hear a little bit of clicking, but there's hardly any movement at all there. This is a pretty tight fit. Now, before we take any pictures, there's one more setting we have to set in our Sony E-mount camera, and I'll show you that right now. So we're gonna go into the menu system. We're gonna go to the gear logo, and we're gonna go to, let's see, number 4. We're gonna go down to release without lens, and we're gonna enable that. Now our Sony E-mount camera will be able to shoot photos and videos with the adapted manual medium format lens. Okay, now we get to the fun part, using the shift mechanism in our Pentax 645 to Sony E shift adapter. And shifting with this adapter is super simple. There's just this silver button on the top here, and we press that button in, and we can shift 10 millimeters to the right, 10 millimeters to the left, or if you want to use the adapter as just a normal pass-through adapter without any shift functions, we can set it to the very center, which is right here. We can set it to the very center dot, and then it works just like a regular adapter. Now you might ask, what is so special about shift functionality in a lens, and why is it so nice to have it built into this adapter? Well, shift photography can be very useful for a number of circumstances, but one of the big ones is perspective distortion correction. Let's say you're pointing this lens up at a very tall building. You're taking an architecture shot. As you point the lens up, you're going to see the leading lines of the building going towards each other. And this is just a natural product of perspective. You know, when you look up at a building, even though its lines are straight, from your perspective, they are going to look bent. They're going to look like they're pointing towards each other. So if we want to correct for this perspective distortion, we can actually do that with the shift in this adapter. Basically, as we're pointing it up, we're just going to shift the lens up a bit. Now, we don't have to shift up all the way. It really just depends on how much effect we want. But the more we shift, the more we are correcting those lines, making them straighter and making for a more pleasing architecture shot. And you don't have to just shift in portrait orientation. Let's say we're shooting in landscape orientation like this, and we want to shift the lens up to correct perspective distortion. We do that very simply by pressing this gold button right here. We hold that button in. We can rotate the lens 360 degrees. So we rotate it 90 degrees, and then we can shift up in landscape orientation. And this allows us to do that correction in this orientation as well. And let's say you want to shift diagonally. You can do that as well. You just rotate a couple more degrees, and then you can shift diagonally. So wherever you want the shift in your scene, you can do it with this adapter. Just press this little gold button to rotate the shift 360 degrees. Now, another cool thing you can do with a shift adapter is shoot stitched panoramas. Basically, what you do is you're gonna lock your camera down on a tripod. In this case, it's good to use the Arca Swiss compatible tripod foot to do that. And if you don't have an Arca Swiss tripod, it's also got a 1/4-20 mounting screw, so you can mount it on a 1/4-20 tripod. So you're gonna lock it in place, set up your shot, make sure you have it all set, make sure you're focused, you have the right aperture, all the settings right in your camera. And then once you're ready to go, you're going to press down the shift button, and you're not going to be shifting the lens, you're actually shifting the sensor on the image circle of the lens. So we're going to shift right, take a picture, then we're going to shift all the way left, take a second picture, and then we're going to take these two pictures and stitch them in post. We can bring them into Photoshop and use photo merge, and voila, we have a beautiful panoramic image. Now you can also shoot shift panoramas by moving the lens, moving the camera left and right. But the cool thing about this setup is we are using one image circle locked down. So instead of moving the lens, we're actually moving the sensor of the camera using the larger image circle of the lens. And it's kind of like we're enlarging the full frame sensor of this Sony E camera into a panoramic sized sensor. And you can also shoot shift panoramas with an APS-C Sony E-mount camera, but in that case, you're gonna wanna shoot 3 shots. So you're gonna wanna go to the right, take a shot, go to the middle, take a shot, and go to the left and take a shot. And that's just so you can get full coverage of the pano because of the smaller sensor of those cameras. Now, I've run into a lot of discussions and arguments online about using a shift adapter to shoot panoramic images. Some people love it, some people think it's useless and you should just move the camera. What do you think? Comment below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, if you want to learn more about our shift adapters and see some more demo images, click here to check out a video we made a while back that shows some more detail. Now, the shift adapter is compatible with all Sony E-mount cameras, be they new, old, be they full frame or APS-C. So if you have a Sony E-mount camera and you want shift photography, this is a great option. Okay, that was an in-depth overview of our Pentax 645 to Sony E shift adapter. If you'd like to learn more about this adapter, click the link in the description below, and click the links in the description below also to check out our entire line of shift adapters. We don't just make Sony E shift adapters or Pentax 645 shift adapters. We cover a wide variety of medium format and full frame lenses and a wide variety of mirrorless and DSLR cameras. If you have any questions about anything I said in today's video, comment below. I'd love to engage with you and talk to you more about shift photography and our shift adapters. And click right here to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos just like this one. I'm Sean with Fotodiox.com, and thanks for watching.